comes to squats, especially for the beginner, and I don't mean beginner lifter, right? You can do legs for years without really, really getting into squats and like getting used to it, getting excited about it. And I think half of the important part is being able to get excited about it. Because if you think squats are a chore, you're never going to want to do them, and you're definitely not going to go crazy hard on them. So that's what leads me to think that you need to find someone who squats a lot and look up to them, right? The classic, the classic spokesperson of squats for any bodybuilder, obviously Tom Platz. But that, watching him was not exactly my initial motivation to start squatting. Really, the guy who I liked was Clarence Kennedy. This is back when he was doing a bunch of videos with Juji Mufu, so I was always watching their stuff. And I mean, it's just a freaking beast. Look him up. I'm talking like 555 for 5 sets of 5. Like that was kind of like a thumbnail-y sort of lift that he did that one time. But I mean, just insanity, right? Kept him very upright back. He had super flexible ankles, so he could really get like sort of a kind of deep, I guess the closest thing I could use as an example is sort of like the Chinese Olympic lifter style squats, where he's really not leaning forward too much at all. So that's that was partially my motivation to start squatting with my heels elevated on a plate, because for me my knees just won't go that far, like my feet won't bend that high up. So if you've got tight ankles, what'll happen is if you squat flat-footed, you're going to end up sort of being forced into like a very power liftery style squat, where your knees don't move that far forward above your toes, and you end up really bending forward, and you get so much lower back, it's insane. No one has ever thrown their lower back out getting into a hack squat machine, where their spine is being loaded very steadily vertically. Everybody's hurting their back when they bend over and pick shit up. So that's what leads me to believe, I feel like a lot of the reason why everybody's getting lower back problems from squatting and saying, oh, I don't like to squat, it hurts my back, is you're leaning too far forward. Because then you're turning a quad movement into a lower back movement, right? If I could, I would love to squat without moving my hips backward at all, and just literally sinking my butt straight down above my heels like that. I just, I don't have the anatomy for it. So I try my best to keep at least as upright as possible during a barbell squat. Any sort of machine or Smith machine squat, it's a little easier because, the movement path is locked. You don't have to worry about balance. But, watching Clarence Kennedy do all those squats, that's what got me excited about him, and that's what sort of made me start, really wanting to bring my squat up. So if you can find somebody like that who kind of gets you excited about it, it's going to make it that much easier for you to go hard, because now you're like, okay, I want to bring it. I want to learn how to bring it, and instead of just like for the benefit of what the squats are going to do, build your quads. That almost ends up being a byproduct of my leg training, at least when I think of squats or any real kind of crazy heavy set, because I'm not doing a crazy set of squats because I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is going to make my legs huge. I'm kind of putting myself into this different mentality where I'm like, okay, almost just, trying to see what I'm really capable of, and just pushing myself to the limit intensity-wise during that set. And that also just happens to be, at least as far as I'm concerned, what's going to lead to bigger quads down the line as a result of that training. You know what I'm saying? So the gains follow the training, right? So if you really bring it, as will larger legs, as will a larger back, as will a bigger chest. It just it all sort of follows. And honestly, a lot of everything that comes about the training just follows suit, because if you lift crazy hard, you're going to be hungry. you're going to be tired, you're going to be thirsty, so you're going to sleep pretty good, you're going to drink a ton of water because you're thirsty, and you're going to eat more food because your body's telling yourself, like, dude, you just did some damage, you got to recover from this, you need energy from somewhere, you know. So that's as much as I could say it's like, oh, you know, just eat more food, just you know, do more cardio, just I mean, if you told somebody to just really start bringing it and their training intensity actually did gradually raise and raise and raise and raise, a lot of these other things outside of the gym they'll just begin to happen, you know? Like the guys who always say, it's like, oh, I don't worry about my diet, or I don't know, man, I don't worry. Odds are their training is just at least at a certain level where their appetite and their thirst and just, you know, their ability to have a good night's rest, it's just there, you know, and they're good. So assuming that's you keep grinding, right, you're solid. But if you need to take a little more of an active approach to making sure you get your food in, or your water, or your sleep, that's just what you got to do, right? But I'm going to get hamstrings done first. I don't want to go too wild because I know my hamstrings are going to get involved in some of the heavier leg pressing. But I guess we'll just have to see how this lift plays out once we get warmed up and get started in there. So let's get to it. So all of that brings us to where we are now. Squats. So you could really call that we could say this is at least the current version of the Sam Sulek approach to working sets squatting. At least a good one, you know. So warmed up hamstrings, obviously, you know, curls, seated, laying, kind of heavy too, like pretty hefty. And I know they're going to get worked a little more on leg press soon, so I'm not super concerned about only doing 5 sets. But one good set of leg extensions to get warmed up. Also, it counts as a working set, but it's kind of doing, you know, 2 things at once, hitting my quads and getting them sort of primed and ready for squats. Plus all the individual, like, you know, 5 reps aside sets with like 70, 90, 110, 130, 150, 160, just getting my quads warm. Because I used to just jump straight to squats. Like I'd warm up my knees a little bit in the leg extension, but squats was first, just jump on it. But, you know, ever since I started getting a little bit more of a quad pump pre-squatting, it just feels freaking better, man. You know, like to a degree that is not just marginal. Like I don't want to do squats without leg extensions first now. But I'm going to warm up 1 plate, 2 plates, 3, 4. We'll see if we can get up to 5. Not that that's the point, but I want to get to a level where it's like, that's heavy, you know, to the point where like 8 reps, 10 reps, that will be the failure range. And as long as I'm there and I don't exceed that, I'm pretty much good. You know, if I can manage 8 reps on any weight for squats, my risk per se for injury, at least looking back over all the sets I've done, decently low. It's only when I go a little too heavy where it's like 6 rep, 5 rep, anything like that, that's where I'm asking for trouble. But if I can get 8, that means I should have been able to get 9. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna keep warming up, and then we can get ready for set number 1, which honestly will probably be it, because I don't want to do too many barbell squats and really like just overload my lower back and my erectors. So after a really solid set of squats, that's when I move on to more isolated quad work, pendulums, hack, leg press. We'll just see which one feels the best. But I'll see you in a few minutes. Oh my God. Ooh. Oh. Holy crap, man. I'm getting lightheaded. When the hell does 495 get so freaking heavy? Oh, man. All right. So with a set of squats like that, I really need to take my time and get into the zone because, I mean, it's simply a dangerous amount of weight. Like, that's a set that demands serious freaking respect. Not that pendulums don't, but I can't fall out of this machine. And I can't even get crushed because I've got the safety at the perfect height. So if I hit failure and I can't re-rack it, I'm good. It'll catch just like an inch or two below my normal range of motion, and I'll be all right. So now I have there's a certain mentality with some of these just harder quad working sets where they just have to be done. You can't just sit. I'm gonna lose my pump if I wait. It's just, like, I never feel this way about chest or back or arms. But legs, sometimes you just gotta go before you're ready. Go before you're ready just so you hit it. But, all right, come on. Okay. Okay. Oh. No. I almost talked myself in to just doing leg extensions to finish, that was a good set of squats. Those were 2 good sets of pressing, but that's a chump mentality. So I will do leg extensions, but elevated to just a little bit of a higher level. So I've got 8 plates on the pendulum leg press right to your right, which is heavy enough, but it's not so heavy it's out of my range. Honestly, like, even though I've done those heavy sets before, you still do have a solid strength reserve, I feel, for your legs, at least if you've trained them to a certain degree. Where with something like a controlled set of a leg press, you can still press pretty heavy, even if your legs are kind of wrecked. But I'm going to kind of make use of slightly lighter weight and pre-exhaust on the leg extension. So I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 reps-ish. I don't know, I mean like 10 or 15 or so on either side. Light, squeeze, good hold. Because I want this to sort of be a squeezing concentrated, because obviously the leg press is going to be a bit more stretch emphasized. You know, so combining 2 opposite movements like that, I think is usually a good kind of combo, right? It's like doing a set of flies to pre-exhaust before you do a set of press, right? Doing a set of, kind of hefty preacher curls where there's not a lot of swinging involved, and then grabbing some dumbbells to really burn out and using a little bit of body language. You know, I think it's kind of an opposites attract kind of situation, where if you do 2 things that are very different in nature back to back, they kind of play off each other's strengths and make up for each other's weakness. So that's usually what I like to think. Like, I wouldn't superset a set of leg press directly into a different leg press. Right? It's the same thing, you know. You want spicy and or you want sweet and sour, right? You want salty and savory. You want what else do you want? Well, we get the gist, you know. So let's make this shit happen and pick a good song to go with it. Boy. All right, come on. Okay, that's good. Oh, shit. All right. Okay, I think one more of those, and then maybe let's just focus on one more of those first. If I get ahead of myself, I'll just be thinking different stuff, you know. Keep yourself prioritized with the set in front of you. Don't freak about what's next. Oh my gosh. Whew. That's good. Okay. I'm not done. Oh my God. Okay. I think that's enough. Holy crap. I'll unload this later. Oh my God. Okay, am I right in the middle? There we go. Yeah, so let's do a quick leg pump check, see just how they're looking. But I'm not particularly concerned with a leg pump check while I'm dieting down, just because, I mean, you know, sure, there's fibers, there's like, you know, we're getting some femoralis or whatever. Let me get the brightness down a touch. Yeah, I mean, you know, we're definitely seeing something, right? Like that's, you can see all three heads of that quad. Not really much in terms of striations. Yeah, pumped hamstrings just kind of freaking disappear. But yeah, man, I mean, they're pumped. You know, it's not like chest where you're just a little freaking bigger up top. Oh, it's a little bit less of a visual appeal. Legs are definitely a muscle which leanness adds to tremendously, right? If my legs were a few inches smaller around, but they were diced, let's imagine I cloned myself, I had a lean version of me right here to my right, and we did the same poses, that version of me's legs would look bigger because they've got the leanness effects going on, right? Because when you're leaner, my knee, physically my knee joint will shrink because of the body fat around it, thus making my quad portion, the thicker portion up top, appear larger because that's what you're comparing it to, right? I mean, when we look at some of these bodybuilder guys, when you compare them individually on stage, a guy who's 5'2" can look absolutely massive compared to a guy where, you know, he's 6'2" and huge, right? And you put them together, you can see that. But when they're on their own, it's all just a relative, you know, amalgamation of ratios. Smaller waist, wider shoulders, you know, smaller joints. Everybody talks about, you know, filling up your muscle bellies and then keeping your joints kind of trim. Like that's half of what all posing coaches are looking for. You know, if you're doing a front lat spread and you're not getting your shoulders out enough, that's what they want you to do. They're going to tell you to widen up because they want you wide up top, slender down the waist, right? They're going to tell you to squish your freaking insides in as hard as you can to increase that width to, you know, kind of funnel ratio, right? Because you want to appear big where you want to be big and small where you want to be small. Because then it makes both sides on either extreme even wilder. It makes you look even wider than you are, and it makes you look even skinnier than you are in your, you know, your waist, your midsection, everywhere else like that. You know, so that's something I can understand why not a lot of people want to stick to a proper bulk for a little while. And I'm not saying get super fat. I'm saying like, you know, 15%, 17% body fat max, and just really make sure your lifts are nuts, you're eating enough fuel to recover and go on like that. Because for one, you're physically going to have a bigger midsection because you're going to have more food in your stomach. Dude, when I mean, especially on show day, or the 2 show days I did earlier in the year, I mean, waking up literally peeled and dry with a totally empty stomach. I felt if I did a vacuum, I'd be able to touch my spine through my stomach, just because there's no food in here, right? So you're bulking up, you got more food in your gut, and you're a little softer. So like any guy in the freaking world, where do we put our fat first? Stomach, sides, back, butt, some legs, but mainly right here in this center portion. The portion you want to be the trimmest to play into that size game, you know? So, I mean, I understand, but that's where if you ever do bulk up to a slightly higher body fat than normal and then cut back down properly, you'll understand and you'll start to see that it's all just part of the process, you know? A bulk is no fun if you can't see the cut that lies beyond it. So I can understand the, you know, the aversion. Lean is law, main gaining. But once your progress begins to dwindle and you're just staying exactly where you are, something needs to change. I'm not saying it has to be eating more food, but it's got to be something, you know? I would not gain a single more pound of muscle if I only ate 2,000 calories a day indefinitely. I would gradually shrink down to a weight where that calorie number matches my body's energy expenditure. I'd be diced, but I would not grow any more muscle because I wouldn't have enough energy to facilitate that growth. You know, a whale needs to eat this much krill every day. And if it doesn't, eventually it's going to start shrinking down and it'll just croak and starve, you know? So every body weight, and this is body weight combined with total daily energy. Obviously, if a guy doesn't move around at all, he's not going to need to eat so much food. But every person, including their body weight, their muscle mass, their daily energy, and how much they work out or work out at all, that corresponds with a number of calories, their maintenance calories, right? So for me to stay exactly this size, big, strong, keep working out, recover, but not grow, maybe it's like 3,000. You know, I could stay the same size, stay strong, keep having good workouts, but I wouldn't progress because I just wouldn't be giving myself enough fuel. You can't build a building without bricks and freaking, you know, concrete and rebar. You need enough raw materials to facilitate it, you know? And a lot of guys are, I see a lot of, I mean, I think half of all niche approaches, it's really, okay, people don't want to work out very hard on average. Like, would you agree that if you took a random person off the street and told them, hey, let's go hit a crazy leg day right now, they wouldn't want to do it, right? Working out's hard. Obviously, we value it because we like it, but for the most part, people wouldn't want to do it. They feel like it's a chore. So the sales tactic, if you're a guy who's trying to sell a program or a guy who's trying to do whatever, it's okay. You can work out without working out. You can get gains just by sitting at home. You don't have to diet. I'm seeing guys talk about a freaking sugar diet. That's getting a little traction right now. Right? I mean, look, I've eaten my sweets. Right? I've had my fair share of trash food, but I do not say that's like the best method, you know. If my logic was I want to grow, I gotta eat food, right? Definitely not the best approach. I'm getting a bit more refined now after kind of going through it and learning a couple lessons about it. But it's, I mean, it's like result. Everybody loves this part. Work, nobody likes this part, right? So that's where I'm looking at working out. It's just an objective thing. Lift hard, eat, recover, and keep going, right? And if that doesn't add up to progress, something in this side is wrong, right? It's not someone else's fault. It's not because you have to work out at a Planet Fitness because it's the only gym you have in your town and it's nobody gets big at Planet Fitness. It's just the stimulus and your recovery. So I'm not saying that's going to work infinitely to becoming a 300-pounder dude. That's not what I'm saying here. But, you know, if you're 170 and you want to be 180, the same level of leanness, shit, man, the big dogs in the jungle eat the most, right? So I feel like out of anything you could change, a lot of times food intake is a pretty big factor, right? Regardless of training or anything else. So I'm, the food is where it's at. That's my secret for the day. But I feel like a beast. Well, actually, no, right now I feel like I'm tired out, but I feel like a beast because I had a good lift. My shirt's totally drenched. This is nice. This is the fun feeling of legs. Sitting down, they're erect. I'm going to feel it tomorrow. Very nice. All right, this is the cool part. So I think this will kind of serve as the leg talk of the day. And if you made it this far, guess what? I've got a secret for you. Let me confirm. Right, I'm gonna make sure I write it in the text so it's the same thing. But all capital letters. I hit legs $100 off. Now this is it's a one-time use code. Only one person gets to do it. But that's so for anybody who got that, samsulik.com. There's that would be like 4 shakers or 2 shakers in a shirt, 2 shakers in a hoodie, something like that. But we're getting ready to do a couple more promos, like kind of giveaway style stuff. We'll so keep an eye out. That's going to be more of an Instagram story kind of thing to show off. But yeah, so that's your reward for checking out the leg day for whoever got that code first. So I'm gonna go home, get some food. I'll see you tomorrow for chest.